Hey everyone. So it's the day after the midterm elections. Well, they're still going on, but if you're a Democrat, you're probably breathing a sigh of relief. If you're a Republican, you're probably bawling the hardest that you've ever since ever bawled since 2020. Um, but on a national level, we all know the whole red wave, much less red tsunami that people said were going to happen, just didn't happen. But like on a regional level, though, you know, it kind of did. Like, look at Florida. Look at Marco Rubio won by 17. DeSantis won by 20. And he flipped Miami-Dade County. He flipped Palm Beach. He flipped Osceola. He flipped Jacksonville. Uh, these are all like, Miami-Dade voted for Hillary Clinton by 30 points. Now it's going to DeSantis by double digits. And if you see, I don't have the map pulled up, but the New York Times has like a shift map. Florida's all red arrows. So that's where you can tell where there was a red wave and where there was not. It was kind of like a bipolar election. You either had a red wave or you had a blue wave in your state. And it really tracked. It's like you could make out the shape of every state based on just the arrows. Like Ohio, Pennsylvania, they all had blue. Florida, they all had red. California, it didn't just happen in like New York. It also happened. Lee Zeldin got within 5 points in a state where Democrats are like 66% of the majority or something. So I'm beginning to think Lee Zeldin should maybe be like a nominee. I'm going to echo real American politics on that. Um, but the red wave even happened in some non-obvious places, like my home state of Illinois. Look at the governor. Look how close the governorship is. Governor Justin Bieber Pritzker only won by 10 points. Only 10 points. Like Illinois, this state went for Biden by 17 points. And like Trump cracked. Like we've noticed, like this state has been trending red by a tiny amount. Like, it was the same margin from 2016 to 2020, even though the national environment got 2 points to the left. So it trended right by 2 points. And now we don't know what kind of national environment the generic ballot or the popular vote is this time just yet, because the elections take so ridiculous long to count. This is embarrassing for a first world country that, we do things like fucking Africa, or like feels like a third world country in many places. um, but yeah, like look, depending on like it seemed, I would guess that the generic ballot is probably like either just even, or it would be, I mean, or it would be D+1 or D+2, which is like a shift of like 2, 3, 4 points left of to the right of the national environment in 2020. So let's say even if it like trended right to 4 points, then like this race got 7 points closer. So Illinois would have that means effectively Illinois would trend right by 3 points. So I'm saying, if it keeps going at that rate, if it's like 2, 3 points per it's like 3 points per 2 years, where can we cut down? You can probably Illinois could be a swing state as soon as like 2032, and I'm very looking forward to that. I'm because my vote never has power here in Illinois, and I'm always jealous of all you people living in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Arizona, where your vote actually has power. Um, your vote doesn't have power unless you're in a close state, and honestly, even the red wave even happened in California, of all places. Gavin Newsom only won by 15. He's within 15. It could even narrow up. I mean, it's only 45% reported, but I'm like, this is pretty. This is who would have predicted something like this? Honestly, you had Lauren Boebert losing. You had I'll get into the upsets more into the later part of this um video, because I mean I'm always here, as a very what the fuck channel. This is a very you know I am here for the drama. I tend to be a sort of a drama queen. You know how much I love to have a story to tell. But yeah, even Connecticut. Yeah, the governorship there is within like 12 points in a Biden plus 20 state. Yeah, but in other places there was kind of a blue wave, like Ohio. Um, Ohio, JD Vance, he only won by 6 points. You know, he should win by at least 12. If I mean, so that's a pretty dismal performance. And Ron Johnson only winning by one. I mean, I understand he's pretty unpopular and he's just a boring establishment politician, but he's running against a guy who thinks I mean, who literally like hates the existence of the U.S. and he's talked about that. I'm really surprised it's that close. It's probably maybe it's because Mandela Barnes is a populist or something. Populism always does well in the Rust Belt. Um, Ted Budd only won by 3. Yeah, that's abysmal. That's really disappointing. He should have been winning by like 7 or more. Oh yeah, in Pennsylvania, yeah, Doc. This is going to be rant mode. Just a warning. Yeah, Doctor Oz. Doctor Oz is officially the most incompetent person like ever. And because you lost to fucking John Fetterwoman. You lost to a guy who couldn't string. You lost to a guy who couldn't string together a sentence to save his life. You lost him by 3 points. You lost an easily winnable election against like the worst possible candidate ever. This was like a given for you, and you blew it. So, like, you have no one to blame for this to yourself, Dr. Oz, but yourself. You deserve this loss. You deserved it. You deserve it more. You deserve it more than Hillary Clinton deserved hers. Yeah, hot take there, but yeah, this is just a pathetic performance. Like, if you would lose, you'd lose to a guy who's brain damaged. I'm not saying, just what does that say about you? How does that say how bad of a candidate were you, Dr. Oz? And this really shows. A lot of people are saying you need to be moderate to like, win Pennsylvania. Just, this really blows that shit out of the water. No, absolutely not. You tried that with Doctor fucking Oz. The snake oil salesman. You can go back. Yeah, go back to peddling snake oil on your lame ass show. I'm sure nobody's ever gonna watch again. Nobody cares. This is the failure of like the decade, I feel like. 2016 is probably the failure of the last decade for Hillary Clinton, I mean. And now you deserve to be the next written in the dustbin of history, Dr. Oz. You single-handedly deserve this, and I'm glad. It's a great news, honestly. I'm glad that you can't go to the Senate where you're going to ruin other just ruin other people's lives after all the shit that you do. So yeah, fuck you, Dr. Oz. You deserved it. You should be left in the dust to die. What else? Yeah, but on a personal level, I'm sad for John Fetterman because now he can't. Is he going to make it 6 years? I mean, he's not going to have any time to recover from his stroke. He really shouldn't. Really shouldn't have run. He should have stepped aside. And I personally I agree with John Fetterman on a lot of well, not a lot, but on one of his key issues. I'm for abolishing life without parole. I'm for restorative justice, and I fully resonate with him on that. But then why the fuck is he running for Senate? He's in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's like he should be running for governor. Like he can't do shit in the Senate. He can't you know you know give another chance, the a chance at life to these, like, these hopeless and traumatized souls, um who live every day without any hope whatsoever. You can do that as governor. You really should have been running for governor. um I'm sure he'd be way better than Josh Shapiro, even if he couldn't govern effectively due to his brain damage, but whatever. um yeah. Pennsylvania. um where So I guess I'm gonna start to get into the upsets, because that's what I'm mainly here for. I'm the drama queen. So um so Pennsylvania is one of them. I don't think most people expected that. Even Let's Talk Elections had Oz winning this race. um and Yeah, it really goes to show you can't win in Pennsylvania as a moderate. You can't be a rhino like Dr. Oz. He was not socially he was talking about, like, oh, as we're gay marriage. Not that I'm personally against gay marriage or anything, but I'm just like, that's not a winning strategy in Pennsylvania, and this shows it. It's like he did phenomenal in the suburbs, but that but then he sacrificed the rurals, and that just doesn't work. You cannot go for the suburbs and sacrifice the rurals. It just doesn't work. So that's kind of why I kind of agree with Real American. He said, in New York. Oh, look, Chuck Schumer is his race is within 10. I mean, I honestly don't know why Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Kevin McCarthy or Mitch McConnell even keep winning their elections, like, because they're so unpopular on a national scale. It's like, I think, I mean, I don't understand why they haven't been voted out, like like decades ago. Um, but yeah, so the red wave happened in New York too. But back to Pennsylvania. Yeah, you need to win in the Rust Belt. First of all, you need to be pro worker. So it really shows. Doug Mastriano, he wasn't pro worker. That's why he wasn't endorsed by the police union, and he lost big. It wasn't like because he was like a Nazi or whatever. It's because he wasn't pro worker, and you just can't win in the Rust Belt if you're not pro worker. If you're like a cunt like Youngkin in Virginia, who bashes unions, it's like, no, you have no chance in the Rust Belt. It will all be blue. And this So Oz, he was pro worker though. I'll give him that. That's part one of the winning recipe. Number two is you got to be socially conservative though. He was not. He was always talking about gay marriage. He had on his shows. He had trans kids. He had and he sold snake oil too. And Western Pennsylvania really didn't like him, and they came out for David McCormick, probably because they just hated him so much or something. Um, you got to be socially conservative. He was not, and so therefore he didn't get the rural turnout. And number three, you also got to not get creamed in the suburbs. But that I'll give. He had two of the three. He didn't have the three, so he didn't have the second. Now Lee Zeldin, though, I think you got to be reasonably socially conservative. I'm not like extreme, like Darren Bailey here in Illinois. He did very well, but like, for example, on abortion, you've got to, like, should be sort of toe the middle of the road. Toe, like, actually the Forward Party has it, like, actually a pretty winning stance. Like, they say, it's stupid to say that there should be a complete ban, but it's also equally stupid to say that there should be no regulation whatsoever. So, like, support, like, a middle ground is probably like a pain threshold, um, or just ban late term, and that's popular too. I'm pretty sure. I don't know why people support abortion after that level. So that should, Youngkin did that in Virginia. He said he'd support a pain threshold. And that is definitely, in my opinion, that is the winning recipe. You gotta toe the line. You gotta be moderate enough for the suburbs, but you also got to be socially conservative and not to turn out the rural base, Republican base, in the rural areas. Yeah. So Pennsylvania, yeah, major. That's an upset. Oh yeah, on the governor's level, yeah, Tony Evers, the governor of Wisconsin. Yeah, no one saw that coming. That's major L for the GOP. Lots of L's for the GOP tonight. Lots of most of the upsets I hear are actually Democrats. Surprisingly, it's something rarely you hear in a midterm year when the Dems are in power. So what are other upsets? Wisconsin, the governorship. Colorado, Lauren Boebert lost her seat. No one saw that coming. Where else? I mean, the governor's race in Minnesota isn't even close. Senate race in Washington isn't even close. Maggie Hassan beat Don Bolduc by 10 points. That's not even close, even though Bolduc was, they were neck and neck in the polls. It actually, this one I really don't get because New Hampshire, I thought they hated incumbents. They typically, and Maggie Hassan's the incumbent, so I don't know why she only won by 0.1% last time. I don't know why now it's suddenly a 10-point margin for her. That's weird. I've never seen that in the history of, I mean, New Hampshire. But my guess is that it's probably because national environment wasn't strong enough, and it's also because Don Bolduc has been pro war in the past. New Hampshire and Wisconsin. These are just like vehemently anti-war states. Um, so I don't know. My guess is that it's because Bolduc was pro war. Yeah, and I guess Tulsi Gabbard. Imagine what happened if Tulsi Gabbard just didn't jump in at the last moment and try to save him. He probably went down by like 15 or something like that. Either that or Tulsi Gabbard just didn't work. Her endorsement just didn't work. Yeah, but on the Republican side, there were some upsets too. The head of the DCCC lost his seat narrowly, and it's probably carried over there by the Zeldin's overperformance in New York. Um, Imagine if Zeldin and I think Zeldin and DeSantis really just saved the Republican Party and actually just got them any bit of like a benefit. Like otherwise, I think if it weren't for these two or either of them, I think the Democrats would actually be keeping the House. Oh boy, that's so pathetic. I agree with Golden Political Cat. He said this is a neutral midterm, and that in itself is also a surprise because it's like I've never seen that in my life. Like every midterm has always been, usually it's always against the party that's in power, but I mean, there's one exception to that is 2006 or 2002 or something when George Bush gained seats. Um, the Republicans gained seats while George Bush was in power, but yeah, they've just never been neutral ever since in my lifetime. I've never seen a neutral midterm, so that's a rarity. That's a shock. That's a surprise. That's an upset in itself. So that's some pretty juicy drama there. Um, in New York. So like, and what other drama happened? Lots of people just under Chuck Grassley underperformed. Probably because he's such a boring person. And he's so old. He should be fucking retiring. Um, I mean, where else? I mean, yeah, I don't know. There were, I mean, in Virginia, there were in the House race. There was like the seat where Hung Cao or whatever his name, Hung Cao, he got within like 4 points or 6 points of winning the district in Virginia. So there was a red wave in Virginia. This wasn't like a complete like dismal performance for Republicans. Um, and there were lots of races in New York that were just Zeldin pulled them over the finish line. Lots of these were decided by like 20, like 2 points, 4 points, or something. Lots of these are flips. So really, really, Zeldin and DeSantis are the superstars of tonight. I mean, that's like the only people who actually gave it any sort of substance whatsoever. And oh, I think this also goes to show, they haven't called Nevada and they haven't called Arizona yet. It still could go either way, but I think if this holds, it really goes to show, the prediction that I agree with, which is that Nevada is guaranteed to vote to the right of Arizona, and this is the election that it's going to start. That's going to show because right now it's looking like Nevada is going to go red and Arizona is probably going to go blue on the Senate level. Not on the governorship. I mean, Kerry Lake's going to win easily. I mean, she's probably going to win this. The remaining vote is all going to be very red. And she's only behind by like a hair. Yeah. If Kerry Lake, if you would lose to a coward who won't even debate you and won't talk, a politician who won't talk politics to people she doesn't agree with or she doesn't know. I mean, like, you're a fucking child, Katie Hobbs. Like, I can't. You are so incompetent. Like that's like you're just asking to lose. I mean, I don't know. If Katie Hobbs pulls this off, I'm just be like, I don't know. It's time to leave Earth. I'm like, it really it sends a message that you can avoid debate and then you can still win. I mean, well, it kind of sent that message in Pennsylvania too, with because John Fetterman he refused to debate until the very last moment, and then he still bombed the debate, and he still won. But that's more because Dr. Oz is just such a piece of shit, who really should have stuck to, selling snake oil and not trying to, make his life in politics. And I hope he's, I hope he can rest in peace. Honestly, I hope. No, I don't. I hope Dr. Oz, you can go ball yourself off a cliff. You fucking pathetic loser. But yeah, back on track. I think Nevada is going to vote to the right of Arizona, and this is the proof. Look, Nevada's probably going to go red and Arizona goes blue on the Senate level. Or Nevada's going to go red by a bigger margin when Arizona only narrowly goes red. So that's what I've been saying earlier. I think with the guaranteed flips, Wisconsin's a guaranteed flip, and then probably if the national environment gets, I said Nevada and Pennsylvania are probably going to be guaranteed flips for Trump, in the Electoral College in 2024. While Arizona, Michigan, and Georgia are going to be the hardest states to flip back, and they probably aren't. And this also, this leads me to question that. I mean, not the ranking that I have, which the states. I think it is going to go Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, in terms of difficulty to flip. With the increasing difficulty to flip, but I'm also, I'm beginning to think, in the approval ratings, Biden is only disapproved of by 8 points, which isn't great, but it's like Trump is disapproved by 12 points. If you take that, that results in a D+4 national environment, which is equivalent to what it was in 2020. But I do still think the approval ratings, this time the polls, they underestimated Democrats. Like, that's never happened in my lifetime, honestly. But I think this also is a big blow. Like, how I don't understand how you could trust the polling industry from now on. Like, I might just not listen to polls whatsoever in the future. I mean, this is just like what kind of reality are we living in? Seriously. I'm gonna trust that each state's just gonna go its own way. But whatever. But yeah, Biden. I mean, he's a boring president, and I've made president. I don't like I don't like him. I'll take, I'll just, and I'm no longer sure Trump would even win. I mean, he'd certainly do better than 2020, but I mean, maybe he wins Wisconsin, Nevada, he falls short in Pennsylvania, maybe something like that. Or, You know, who knows? But so I'm just not I'm not sure. But there's also like it's also stupid to Trump is not responsible for the midterms because he didn't do shit for it. I mean he if anything it's probably the lack of Trump that's why people didn't turn out. And he also endorsed shitty candidates like Mehmet Oz, um, who can't turn out the base, who just no one has any excitement for him. So I don't know. I think the GOP needs to do some really big, you know, soul searching. And yeah, probably a different nominee. I'd be pretty psyched if it were, I'd happily vote for Lee Zeldin. I mean, I'm personally, I think, you know, Carrie Lake would be a great candidate, and like, sexism works in favor of women in many cases. Actually, something that you never hear often, but it's like the fact that she's a woman. It's like some people would think like, oh, then she's not super responsible for like actions and stuff, so they'll give her the benefit of the doubt. And meanwhile, the woke tards, I mean, the woke people are gonna be like, um, oh, she's a woman, she's oppressed, so we have to be nice to her. Um, and I feel like that's certainly an advantage. I don't believe in this whole, you know, nominating someone just because of their gender or their race or whatever. But it would be cool though to have the first female president be Republican, and be a Trump copy, a female Donald Trump basically, um, who isn't so divisive though because like I really the thing I don't like about Trump is that he's just um everyone's just so divided now. It's like I know lots of people who are Biden voters, and they're just like, God, like I don't understand why he's so supportable. Um, you know, I kind of wish we would nominate someone instead that wasn't so divisive. So yeah, Zeldin. I'm not really that excited about DeSantis, because he's like, I mean, he's kind of like a boring establishment politician, but I mean, so kind of is Zeldin. But I mean, Zeldin's way cooler than DeSantis. I feel like. I mean, at least Zeldin's from a blue state, and he nearly won in a blue state, in like a deep blue state, and he's able to. He has the three recipes. He's moderate enough on social issues to not get creamed in the suburbs. I mean, so he has suburban appeal. He's conservative enough though that he'll turn out the rural base. And he's charismatic, and he's and like and he also would do well with Jews since he's Jewish. That would help him in places like Florida and places with a large Jewish population. And maybe even Muslims too. I mean, the Muslims were endorsing the people, and yeah, lots of liberals were. He to get 47% of the vote in New York, he he had to win the support of 66% of the people there are Democrats. So he won, like, he had to get like a quarter of the Democrats of the whole Democrats in the state to vote for him, and he did. That's what he got. So I think he'd have state politics are different than national politics, but he's shown that he has the ability to just do that. That winning recipe, and then he's um well, I don't know about the pro worker part, but he can probably play into that. At least he's not like young cunt. Yeah, I would not be excited about young cunt running for Youngkin, of course. I call him young cunt. Running and running for president, because he's just an anti-union jagoff. It's like, if you're anti-union, why bother? Like, no, Glenn Youngkin is way overrated. I feel like, I mean, what he pulled off in Virginia was impressive, but still, um, I still have to thank him for the juicy drama, but still, I don't want him to be president. I'd still vote for him over Joe Biden, but whatever. Especially over Kamala Harris, whom I absolutely loathe. Um, but yeah, what other topics? What other topics. U.S. Senate, governorship. Well, I mean, I guess that's probably it. It's it's a wacky and weird night, and if you're a Republican, you got to do some soul searching. If you're Democrat, you just gotta you know breathe a sigh of relief. But it's not going to be long. I mean, this is just an anomaly. And I don't think it's going to last very long, very much. And I don't think, you know, I don't. I also don't know how it's like. Republicans a, they they ran on inflation. They ran on crime. These are issues that affect everybody. Like I don't get why suddenly abortion just became. I mean, or like more important, or it didn't have that. I've heard it like that's one explanation, but it's like it's not. I mean, there were also lots of pro-life candidates who did very well, so I'm not sure if that's really the explanation. But I'm also just wondering, like, if that were hypothetically true, I just wonder why are people giving such a fuck about abortion, something that affects like a minuscule portion of the population, compared to things that affect everybody, or maybe not a minuscule portion, but like just at most it affects half, but at most it affects a tiny compared to inflation and crime, and compared to like January 6th, these are not pressing issues. I just I don't understand. It's like did the Democrats their lack of messaging and stuff, it still worked anyway. Yeah, that's just what I don't understand. Yeah, but yeah, and you really have to start picking good candidates. Mehmet Oz, Doug Mastriano, these were shit tier candidates. Tim Michels, loser of the set. Yeah, no, Cleefish would have been way better, but Ron Johnson honestly wasn't even the best. Chuck Grassley, he should be fucking retired. Mike Crapo, I mean, that's self-explanatory. Just look at the guy's name. Might as well nominate Chris Bastardi, who is, by the way, Jussie Smollett's lawyer. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? You know, Herschel Walker, like, Georgia's probably gone at this point. I feel like we should just give up on Republicans. Should definitely give up on Georgia. It's beyond saving. Earlier than expected, even. I mean, it's not. I don't even think it's even competitive in 2020 anymore. It's just going to be blue. So I'm going to probably change a lot of my predictions too. I just don't see. I don't see it being. I'm beginning to think Biden's probably going to win. I mean, might win re-election. I don't like that because he's such a boring president. I want someone who's exciting. On a little, just a selfish note, but whatever. Well, not really. I mean, he is also just really competent, but whatever. Yeah. So that's my hot takes. We got some big fat losers. JD Vance, also a big fat loser. I mean, of course. I mean, how do you expect people to be excited about that guy? I mean, he's just boring. Like, he's a nobody. He wasn't. He was against Trump in 2016. Why do you expect the Trump base to be excited about him? But then again, Carrie Lake also kind of was. I mean, Carrie Lake. I mean, that's probably part of her in Arizona. She actually that actually has appeal. It's like you can switch all over the place. That helps you become an outsider, and she is an outsider, like, completely. And so is Mehmet Oz, but whatever. But Oz just sucks all over. And in all honesty, though, I feel like if Oz ran in Arizona or in Georgia, he might have actually been able to pull it off. But whatever. I mean, he's a shit tier candidate, and he deserves to be relegated to the dustbin of history. Yeah, but I mean, because in the Sun Belt, that's where there's not really that much rural. Well, no, there is rural, but there's a lot more suburbs down there. You know, that's where suburban appeal can really make or break you. It won't necessarily in a place like Pennsylvania or the Rust Belt. So yeah, you know, a night with quite a bit of juicy drama. Not as much as I expected, not as much as I wanted. Not being on the side that I really wanted, honestly, too. But yeah, you know, pretty long night. Um, yeah, and if you like, you know, like, comment, and subscribe below, and I'll see you later.